Am I the asshole for telling my cousin the reason why our parents don't talk to each other? I, 22M, grew up with no contact whatsoever with my dad's brother and his wife. They were estranged before I was even born, and it was not like I had many chances to interact with them because they moved to the UK when I was little. But I did connect with my cousins on socials over the years, and we talked a few times. So I planned a trip to London with my girlfriend and got the chance to meet one of my cousins, 21M, in person. And we were out for drinks and we were having fun, but at some point he approached the subject of why my dad and his dad don't talk. And that's the first time I realized he really didn't know the reason. He was clueless. And the reason was, my dad had dated my cousin's mom before she dated his dad, so my dad felt betrayed when his own brother made a move on his ex. They weren't together anymore. They were young back then. I don't judge any of them for how they felt or behaved. I wasn't saying anything bad whatsoever about my uncle and his wife. I was just sharing what I knew. But my cousin got really shocked after I told the news, and excused himself to go to the bathroom, and my girlfriend gave me an earful for even saying anything because she says it wasn't my place. We didn't talk about it for the rest of the night, but I texted him the next day asking if he was upset I said anything, and he told me I shouldn't have dropped a bomb like that when we were just meeting for the first time and both drunk. I said I only talked about it because he brought the subject up. What was I supposed to do? Theoretically, sure, the most ultra-sensitive thing to do would have been to tell him, hey, let's talk about that tomorrow when we're both sober. Realistically, though, anyone who's asking why two brothers haven't spoken in decades, and expecting a light and cheery answer, is a dodo. Not the asshole. It's been over 2 decades, and it was originally a dating relationship that broke off before your uncle made a move. I'm completely baffled at why it bothered your cousin so much. It's not like your dad was even in a relationship with his mom when his dad started a relationship with his mom. Not the asshole. Never ask a question unless you can accept the answer. He should have really asked his own dad that question. Dropped a bomb? People are so ridiculous. Obviously a stranger and I don't know the details of the situation, but decades of being mad when clearly both found their right partners is wild to me. I feel like, get over it, falls in line here. Not the asshole. There's nothing wrong with sharing family history among cousins. So he had a strong reaction. Whatever. Am I the asshole refused to live with a service dog? I, 26M, own my own home. It's 5 bedrooms and way more space than I need. I came into the house due to a death in the family and I've had it for about 2 years. I use 3 bedrooms, my room, my office, my video game room. The other 2 rooms I rent out. One roommate, I don't know very well and keeps to himself. The other roommate is a friend from college. The friend from college is a diabetic. He has a CGM and that's how he manages it. I honestly don't know much more about his condition and don't pry as it's not my business. He recently informed me that he is getting a service dog that alerts for his diabetes. He's supposed to get the dog next week. I do not want to live with a dog, I don't like them. I told him he can break his lease for a new place but he can't have the dog in my house. Until this, it has been overall smooth sailing as roommates. He's angry with me and supposedly looking into ways to make me accept the dog. He had a good situation at my house. He's told me I'm an asshole for basically kicking him out because he is disabled. Am I the asshole? The number of people who don't understand that FHA doesn't apply here because you live in the unit is honestly crazy to me. The only way FHA applies here is if you own 5 or more units. Otherwise, no, you do not need to accommodate the service dog, because the unit is owner-occupied. Nah, this is just kind of an unfortunate scenario for you and your roommate. Ideally, you would be okay with living with the service dog, but what if you had allergies or some other condition preventing you from living with a dog? Anyway, I'd make sure to give him a reasonable amount of time to move out if it comes to that. It also wouldn't hurt to consult with a lawyer before doing anything. People need to brush up on FHA laws before immediately jumping the bandwagon. Anyone telling you you must accept a service dog is wrong. Because you own the house and are renting out rooms in the house, you are not a typical landlord. Here are exceptions. The FHAA does not apply to all landlords. Examples of where the FHAA does not apply are buildings with 4 or fewer units where the landlord lives in one of the units. Private owners who do not own more than 3 single-family houses, do not use real estate brokers or agents, and do not use discriminatory advertisements. You are renting a room in your shared living situation. It does not make you an asshole to not allow an animal in your home. Owner-occupied housing is not required to allow service animals. The FHAA does not apply to all landlords. Examples of where the FHAA does not apply are buildings with 4 or fewer units where the landlord lives in one of the units, private owners who do not own more than 3 single-family houses, do not use real estate brokers or agents, and do not use discriminatory advertisements. I also rent rooms in my house and already have a dog and a cat. Neither would do well with another animal added to the household. Every single person saying it's illegal and just medical equipment or glossing over this is Op's home, they just happen to rent out individual rooms. The laws y'all keep referencing don't apply. Op has every right to not want any animal in their home, whether technically medical equipment or not. It is still a dog, and most are actively trained by owners. They don't just come perfectly well behaved, and even those that are trained prior still shed and have accidents. They're not robots. Animals, any type, when being brought into a communal situation need to be approved by everyone living in said communal situation. Not the asshole. I love how people act like a dog being a service animal suddenly makes them no longer a dog. They're still an animal living in your house with all the cons that brings. Not the asshole, but cover your bases legally. You're living there. You're not just a landlord, you're a roommate, who would have to deal with exposure to allergens. There's no way you would never see the dog. The comments seem to be glossing over the fact that this is where you live. Not the asshole. If he signed a lease or not is not clear from your post, but you'll obviously have to deal with fallout from this in one way or another. I'm sorry. Am I the asshole for telling my parents I will not be helping them with their rent? I, 18F, moved out of my parents' house a little while ago as soon as I could. To provide some context, my parents were both emotionally abusive and have wronged me many times in my life, including threatening to get rid of my dog, which I have a whole post on. Since I moved out, I've been working a job and paying rent for an apartment I share with my friend and have had enough money left to save up a bit to go to college in a few years. I am the youngest in the family, so after I moved out no one was left at home. Both my siblings moved out as well. So their financial support from my brother paying them rent for his bedroom has been cut off. I am completely independent and have told my parents multiple times that I want nothing to do with them and even blocked their numbers completely. Earlier this week, my grandmother called me and explained that my parents desperately need money for rent and asked if I could spare money from my college savings, which I saved up on my own so far, to help them. I outright refused and told my grandmother I would not be helping at all since every penny in my savings is gathered by me working hard and supporting myself. I love my grandmother and told her that if she needed help herself I was willing to help but would not help with my parents. For this entire week, my aunt has been calling me repeatedly saying my parents really needed this and deserved it for raising me. My mom's side of the family threatened to cut me off if I didn't help, which is honestly so petty because I'm only 18 years old. They should be helping instead. I told my friend about it and she said that I was taking it too far and I should have helped. Now I am wondering if I am They deserve it for raising you. No. That's what is legally required. You have children, you raise them. They don't owe you for doing that. Your aunt and your mom's side are all welcome to contribute to the rent if they are so concerned. You, save up for some therapy as well, and good luck. Not the asshole. Never tell anyone you have money saved. This happens. And it really sucks they're trying to make you feel bad. Not the asshole. And you are doing fantastic. Moved out, saving money for college, on your own, cutting off your abusive family. Keep it up, don't let anyone drag you back into that situation with their petty manipulations. You got this. Not the asshole. OP's parents can get roommates or find a smaller place to rent now that they're empty nesters. Op, please lock down your credit and make sure your bank account is in your name only, at a bank your parents don't use. After my daughter finished college she came home to live with us and we charged her $400 per month rent, which she paid without complaint. After a couple years she decided she wanted to purchase a townhouse closer to where she worked. She had saved up the down payment and closing costs all by herself while paying us $400 every month. Imagine the shock on her face when we handed her every single nickel of what she had paid us in rent. That money went to furnishing her home and some left over for a small celebration. A parent that comes to a child for money is, in my mind, a failure. Not the asshole. They don't get to treat you like shit and then expect to get paid for it. Am I the asshole for calling out my friend who pretends he dropped out of our Ivy League university? My friend, 22M, is a rising star in the startup world. He raised a significant round of venture capital money and has gone viral several times for his tech. He has also amassed a whole following of wannabe tech bros on LinkedIn and other spaces who admire him. The problem is him and his company founder are both lying, calling themselves Ivy League dropouts when they actually graduated. They're bragging about how they didn't need college to succeed, comparing themselves to Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, and influencing younger kids to drop out of school. In reality, they built their startup on the back on our school's generous resources. All of their early financial support and access to tech has come from our school's startup incubator and tech labs. And they did graduate. I walked across the stage with them in May and watched them get their diplomas. But now they're online bragging about how they're Ivy League dropouts because they took a semester off 2 years ago to focus on their startup. So I called them out on social media and said my friend is lying to his fans and promoting anti-education nonsense, when he actually built his whole startup off our college's resources. That ignited a whole social media shitstorm of people arguing on my friend's page, and he's since been saying I'm just jealous of him and that it is inconsequential whether he dropped out or not. Am I the asshole? Unfortunately, the hallmark of the privilege that usually gets you into an Ivy denying the advantages you got to make it sound like you had to struggle, when there is no real struggle. Not the asshole. I would dunk all over them. Especially if they are leading others to drop out. Not the asshole. They lied. They deserve whatever happens. I can't believe we're in a time where saying you dropped out of any Ivy is considered more credible or cooler or has more cash than saying you're a grad of an Ivy. Wild. It's one thing to lie but another to encourage people to also drop out, when they actually graduated. Way to F up other kids' lives. I would leak it to journals in the tech space and contact the VCs directly, so they know who they're going into business with. Not the asshole. Shoot, if you're feeling extra petty, find the graduation video of that year and post it with a timestamp. If it didn't matter whether he graduated or not, then he wouldn't be spewing how he's a dropout in the first place. Not the asshole. This lie is not inconsequential, it's part of the global move to anti-intellectualism that is causing huge damage right now. It is important to note that his success was based on university education and funding, in a year where university funding is being hugely slashed for shits and giggles. This asshole is part of a larger trend that is majorly hurting science and innovation in the US. Honestly, if you graduated from an Ivy League school, flaunt it. Pretending to be a dropout just makes you look like a wannabe. Keep it real, my dude.